You're watching NBA Now, presented by Manscaped. Head over to manscaped.com/chat. You can get 20% off plus free shipping of all of their men's grooming products. Harrison Graham, Chase Sr., day 3 of NBA free agency is underway. And there are still a lot of NBA free agents still available on the open market. So let's take a look at the top 15 free agents still out there. We start, of course, Chase, with Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard, he is willing to listen to other teams, according to Chris Haynes, one of the best NBA reporters out there. But all signs do point to Kawhi Leonard going back to Los Angeles. Recently purchased property in the Los Angeles area. He's from San Diego. Sometimes he likes commuting from San Diego to LA. And this past year, if Kawhi doesn't go down with that partially torn ACL against the Utah Jazz, I think you're looking at a Clippers team that either could have won the West or potentially won the NBA Finals, because I think that team would have matched up nicely against the Milwaukee Bucks. Look, this is a smart business decision for Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, his value is sky high, even coming off that injury. Ty Lue's a top 5 coach. Paul George played really well. Young players are starting to emerge, Terrence Mann. So I think Kawhi's going to go back to the Clippers. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't, because you really never know what Kawhi Leonard is going to do.
So Chase and I both believe that he will re-sign with the Clippers. The question is when. Do you believe he will re-sign with the Clippers? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Get your votes in on this one. Will Kawhi Leonard re-sign with the Clippers? We'll make this the pinned comment on today's video so you guys can scroll on down during the ad break and answer this question. Next up, and as we get, to the lower part of the list, we'll certainly spend less time. Spencer Dinwiddie, though, there's momentum to the Wizards there, Chase, but Washington still has to move some pieces to clear enough cap space.
If you're looking at his 2020, 2021 stats right now, and you're like, Spencer Dinwiddie, only 6.7 points per game, why is this guy demanding any interest on the open market? Only played a couple of games last year, because he too, like Kawhi Leonard, went down with a partially torn ACL only a few games into the season. This guy is a very dynamic scorer. He can start for you at the 1. He can also come off the bench. There's some positional versatility there because he can play both the 1 and the 2. He's somewhat streaky, so on some nights he could go off for 30 points. Other nights he's going to go off for 15 and not have the most efficient shooting night. But Spencer Dinwiddie, a good passer, good creator, good ball handler, a good scorer from all 3 levels. Some reports out there that Dinwiddie could be signing soon a 3-year, $60+ million contract with the Washington Wizards. But the reason that hasn't happened yet is because the Wizards do have to clear up some cap space.
Reggie Jackson, another guard who, look, the regular season stats don't jump out other than the 43% from 3, which is fantastic. But Chase, his impact for the Clippers in the playoffs cannot be understated. He is still out there.
No, and those numbers from the regular season were so much better in the playoffs when it really mattered, because down the stretch in some really crucial situations, because remember the Clippers' playoff fate and run last year. They went down 2-0 in every single series, and they were able to come back in all of those series before losing in the Western Conference Finals to the Phoenix Suns. But Reggie Jackson down the stretch was a very elite, dynamic playmaker, not just scorer. I thought he really increased his value on the open market, and last year for him to be playing on almost a veteran minimum contract, such great value for what they got from Jackson for the Clippers, but because he did play so well, he could demand anywhere between $13 and $20 million per year.
Dennis Schroder, a guy who is not going to get what he was hoping for on the open market. Money is just drying up here. Wants 4 years, $100 million. I think he's regretting not taking 4 years and $80 million.
I think he is too. According to Brian Windhorst, many months ago, the Lakers had offered Dennis Schroder in his camp a 4-year, $84 million contract extension. Not only did Dennis Schroder turn that down, but the Lakers brass not happy with how his camp kind of worked through some of those contract negotiations. And for Dennis Schroder, kind of missed the boat. He could have stayed on a team in LA and continued to play alongside LeBron and AD. But now Dennis Schroder is going to be out of Los Angeles. There's no doubt about that. The team is now better without him, with all of the flurry of moves that they've been able to make during this very busy and very successful free agency period.
Dennis Schroder regretting not taking the bag. The Lakers thrilled that he did not.
For real.
Pick a guard. These 3 guys still available. Type SD for Spencer Dinwiddie. Type RJ for Reggie Jackson. Type DS for Dennis Schroder. I think you can make the case for any of the 3. Lots of pros and cons to all 3 of these players. Let us know who you would rather have down in the comments. Now, today's show is sponsored by Manscaped and the Lawnmower 4.0. Well, if Dennis Schroder used it during the season, maybe he would have gotten the bag. You can get the bag and have a great night if you get the Lawnmower 4.0 at manscaped.com/chat. Get 20% off plus free shipping. The Lawnmower 4.0 has advanced skin care technology. It's not going to scare you. Trust me on that one. 4 adjustable blades, wireless charger. It's waterproof as well. You can use this thing in the shower. No big deal whatsoever. And the battery life is tremendous. Manscaped.com/chat. Get 20% off plus free shipping. That link is in the comments. It's in the description. Get the Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped and check out some of their other men's grooming products. They have a lot of good stuff going on over there at manscaped.com/chat. We keep making our way through the top free agents available. The one restricted free agent on this list, Chase, Lauri Markkanen for the Chicago Bulls. There's still chatter that they could bring him back since they have his bird rights.
I highly doubt it. Look, the Bulls have been so aggressive in free agency. They give Lonzo Ball that $80+ million contract. DeMar DeRozan over the next few years, set to make around $28 million per year as that contract averages out. And I like the makings of this team right now.
Yep.
My question is, where would Lauri Markkanen fit
to
in
come off the
to
bench.
a lineup that now has Lonzo Ball at the 1, DeMar DeRozan can also play the 1, but he figures to play in nice at the 2, Zach LaVine at the 3, Patrick Williams at the 4, and Nikola Vucevic off the 5. So is Lauri Markkanen going to come off the bench when he's a really quality player? I don't think so.
You can't start him with Vucevic.
No.
I agree.
Because they're both terrible defensively.
I think the Bulls end up signing and trading him elsewhere to maybe get a bench piece back. Kelly Oubre Jr., one of the top players still out there. I kind of think Golden State should just bring him back at this point. Another one-year deal. He hits the market again next year. I think that would be a nice piece for Golden State. He can start or come off the bench.
I'm wondering if the market dried up just a little bit for Kelly Oubre. We're on day 3 of NBA free agency, and Kelly Oubre is still a guy who's in his young to mid-20s, has a lot of ability on both ends of the floor. You look at his numbers 2 years ago with OKC, or Phoenix, excuse me, he was very good.
Yep.
And if he becomes a more consistent outside shooter, he brings even more value to either the starting lineup or him coming off the bench. I thought the Warriors weren't going to sign him because I thought Kelly Oubre was going to demand $15 to $20 million on the open market. But at this point, can he net that? I'm not sure. And if that's not the case, a one-year deal like you mentioned?
1 year, 10 mil,
not
12
bad.
mil.
Yeah.
I re-enter next year when the cap goes up. Makes sense to me. Paul Millsap, a guy who is probably year to year at this point in his career, still can space the floor, 40+% three-point shooter. He's had great value for Denver the past couple of years. That would be a big loss if they couldn't bring him back.
At this point of his career, coming off the bench as a really solid scorer, I like Paul Millsap. You're talking about a former All-Star who has a lot of playoff experience. He's played on a lot of really good teams. Versatile defender, also still putting up good numbers offensively, and there is still some ability there, especially like you said, Harrison, his ability to kind of stretch the floor in an efficient manner, hitting around 40% of his three-point attempts. So I think a team like the Golden State Warriors, hey, they might be in on Kelly Oubre. I might like Paul Millsap more, especially if he's cheaper.
Definitely wouldn't be a bad move as they need to bolster their bench. Hey, our bench is deep here at Chat Sports because we're continuing to bring you the latest NBA news, rumors. We're going live every day. We'll be live tomorrow. We'll be live Friday. Chase and I breaking down NBA free agency on a daily basis for you guys. Hit that big red button and subscribe. We're going to cover every major move that happens throughout NBA free agency and beyond as we get closer to the regular season. Danny Green, a name that you're starting to see circulate in the headlines. A lot of teams interested. Sixers, Lakers, Bulls. I think the Bucks are in the mix as well. He's got to figure out that money /role/ chance at another championship when it comes to his career next.
He can be a key and primary addition to a team that is looking to go after a championship or get over the edge.
Yep.
That's what I think the value is for Danny Green. He went out with a calf strain last year in the playoffs against the Atlanta Hawks for Philly. It was a big loss for them, not just because he's a good three-point shooter. He can defend multiple positions. Also, this guy's got 3 rings.
Yeah.
He's got championship pedigree and championship experience. And as the Sixers were choking on their throw-up late in games against the Hawks, I thought they really could have used the maturity and the calming presence of Danny Green. They really missed him on the floor, but also with his leadership.
Yeah, so we'll see where he lands. Lou Williams also is out there as well, another vet, a guy who just can flat out get buckets. Doesn't give you much defensively, but as a flamethrower off the bench, still a good player.
Flamethrower is the perfect way to put it. He really put the Hawks on his back in Game 5 against Philly in that second round and helped them win that game. And if they don't win that game, I'm thinking that the Sixers might close out that series. This guy can still really score at an elite level. He's kind of extending his career in a Jamal Crawford-like fashion. I think he'll have suitors still, for sure.
By the way, Michael Beasley not on this video, but he is playing Summer League ball for the Blazers. Blaze up, Beasley. All right, Andre Iguodala next up on today's video. Still out there. He's kind of like P.J. Tucker at this point, Chase. The numbers aren't going to wow anyone, but good defender, occasionally will knock down a corner three. And like some of these other vets, playoff and championship pedigree.
Championship pedigree, NBA Finals MVP, a guy who can knock down some threes in some really big moments. He's a dog. He's confident. He's tough. Great leader. Also still think he's a really good defender. There's value in everything that I just said.
Yeah, Warriors should absolutely bring him back.
No doubt.
Name a player you want your favorite team to sign. Still got a couple of players to get to here, so stay tuned for that. But name a player you want your favorite team to sign. Maybe it's someone we've already said. Maybe it's someone that's coming up here in just a second. J.J. Redick, a name I'm surprised is still out there. I thought the Lakers would be all over this. Maybe they still will be, but certainly a guy who can space the floor. I think Brooklyn should pounce here, Chase.
I would love J.J. Redick to go to Brooklyn. I think the big reason why J.J. Redick doesn't have a lot of suitors is because defensively he really doesn't give you much.
Coming off an injury, too.
Teams often pinpoint that mismatch, and they go after him. But only a couple years ago, 2019, 2020, J.J. Redick was scoring 15 points per game, hitting threes at a 45.3% clip. I still think he has some of that left in him.
Elfrid Payton, good defensive guard, got a little better offensively last year, really hit a wall in the playoffs, did not play well for Tom Thibodeau down the stretch. They had to go to Derrick Rose in the starting lineup, but I still think as a defensive-minded guard has some value here.
And he's a good passer, but he's really never lived up to the expectations of being that lottery pick, which is okay. I mean, he went to Louisiana Lafayette. I think the expectations thrown upon him were a little bit loftier than they should have been. But anytime a point guard is shooting 43.2% from the floor, it's just not good enough.
Wesley Matthews, a guy that I still think the Lakers are probably interested in, did not shoot the ball that well last year, but still has a little bit of 3-and-D upside.
Yeah, I like Wesley Matthews. He can hit some threes. He can defend. He, too, has a lot of experience throughout his NBA career. So we'll see if he has suitors out there. I think he might be a late signing for cheap money.
Yeah, I think he'll sign on with one of these contenders, Bucks, Lakers, Nets, whoever it may be. How about DeMarcus Cousins, a guy who, actually flashed a little bit last year, Chase, in the playoffs. Ty Lue found some matchups that really worked where he would come in, play 8 minutes, and score like 10 points. Look, he can't defend at all at this point. But, can you find 4 6-minute stretches where he can give you some offense? I still think there's value here.
It's really unfortunate what happened to him with all of the injuries. First the Achilles, then the knee, then the quad. It's really zapped him of his athleticism. And this guy, at one point, was one of the best generational centers that we had seen in a long time.
25 and 12 for 5 years.
Yeah, as the game was changing and big men were starting to extend their games to the three-point arc and knock down threes at an efficient rate, DeMarcus Cousins was kind of ahead of that curve. So he was doing things before a lot of centers that you're seeing now are doing. As a bench guy, second or third option at center, could be a decent addition.
James Ennis, our last guy here, decent shooter, efficient, okay defender, can play multiple positions. He's kind of bounced around, was playing last year with the Orlando Magic. Could be a guy that could be, a 2 or 3 off of somebody's bench. So we'll end up seeing where all of these guys go, and as they sign, we'll certainly have you guys updated here on Chat Sports.